The main selling point of this lens is its size. It is surprisingly compact and lightweight for an f2.8 lens. It only weighs 290 grams and has a length of 75 mm. Here you can see a size comparison with two other f2.8 lenses in E mount. The Tamron 17-70mm f2.8 and Sony 16-55mm f2.8. There are no switches or buttons on the lens. I understand that Sigma wanted to keep this lens as small and lightweight as possible, but I would love to see at least an AF/MF switch. There is a weather sealing gasket on the lens mount. We don't know if there's any more sealings on the rest of the body because Sigma doesn't disclose this information. But I have to say I was very disappointed when I've seen these two dust spots inside the lens. This reminds me the dust issue that Sigma had with its 24-70mm f2.8 art lens. As in almost all recent Sigma lenses, the focusing is accurate and fast, and it's also silent. The maximum magnification of this lens is 0.36x, which is very good for its class. But one downside is it provides this maximum magnification at 18mm. Here you can see how close I had to get to the subject. The lens hood was almost touching the leaf. This also casts a shadow on the subject, which is not ideal for close-up shots. This video was shot at 50mm, so the maximum magnification was kept at 0.20x. Focus breathing is so well controlled at 18mm and 50mm, it's almost non-existent. This is great news if you are planning to do a lot of focus pulls in video. One of the biggest strengths of this lens is how well it performs at f2.8 both at wide end and tele end. The resolution is already very high at f2.8 in the center. I can't see much difference when it's stopped down. On the other hand, the resolution at extreme corners improves when stopped down up to f8, and after f11 you start to see the negative impact of diffraction. The chromatic aberrations are well controlled on this lens. Although they definitely exist, I didn't find them distracting in many cases, unless I zoomed in all the way like 200%. In order to minimize the aberrations, try to avoid the overexposed backlit scenes like this. The Sigma lens has an MSRP of $549, but it's currently selling for $499. It is available in Fujifilm X, Leica L and Sony E mounts. Here I have listed 4 alternatives in Sony E and Fujifilm X mounts. The Tamron 17-70mm has an MSRP of $699. Sony E 16-55mm is the most expensive of the bunch and it's selling for $1399. Sony 16-70mm is an f4 lens and it's selling for $798. And the Fujifilm 18-55mm has an MSRP of $699 US. As you can see, with a price tag of $549, the Sigma lens is significantly cheaper than the alternatives. Alright, now let's summarize the pros and cons of this lens. It's compact and lightweight for an f2.8 zoom lens. It's sharp across focal range. It has a max magnification of 0.36x. It focuses fast and silently. It has a good build quality and the focus breathing is minimal. And the chromatic aberrations are well controlled. In addition, it's significantly cheaper than the alternatives. On the downside, there are no physical controls on the lens other than the zoom and focus rings. This lens doesn't have any optical image stabilization. The weather sealing is limited to the gasket on the camera mount. I have seen dust inside the lens which makes me question the weather sealing effectiveness of this lens. If you enjoyed this review and found it helpful, please consider liking this video and subscribe to my channel. We have a lot of exciting content coming your way.